All right, welcome back to Veteran State of Mind with me, Geraint Jones. Glad to have you back with us. We're in New York City again today, and with me is my friend Charlie, who I'm going to let introduce himself in his own words. But what I will say about him is he's unlike any guest that we've had on before, and not just because he's American. We've had Americans, but we haven't had anybody that's worked in this kind of guy's line of work. So I'm pretty excited about delving into some things that, to be honest, I don't really have much of an idea about. Like, I'm very good when it comes to knowing shit about carrying stuff around on your back and shooting stuff, but other than that, my experience is pretty limited. So, Charlie, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's a privilege to be here, and I'm looking forward to opening up about a little corner of the of these wars that I participated in and part of that community. I'm a former intelligence officer. I was trained by the Central Intelligence Agency as a case officer. I ran operations across the Middle East and did 3 tours in Iraq, 2 of which primarily attached to a special mission unit from the Army.
And you've got a good radio voice, too.
Thank you.
So I want to take it back from the beginning, because you got quite an interesting story for me all the way along. And the first thing I found, again, something I didn't really know anything about, was you went to, a military school.
I did.
So tell us about, a bit about military school.
It's a pretty incredible place. It's called the Virginia Military Institute. It's unique in that it is the state military college of Virginia, which, here in America is one of the famous commonwealths that where...
You mean one of the arch traitors?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, okay.
A nest of vipers.
A nest of vipers, ungrateful colonials.
Who successfully defeated...
well, it's not over yet. I'm still here.
No, I know you're still fighting. You won't give up.
I'm here.
But Yorktown...
That's why I'm trying to learn everything about you guys I can, that I can come in and subvert you.
You surrendered in Virginia, for example. So,
Tactical withdrawal.
So this military institute dates back to 1839, and it's a special and unique place. The best way to describe it, and I don't mean to do this measuring it to other places, but it's akin to the special forces of the military colleges within our country. West Point is a large prestigious school that graduates thousands of lieutenants every year and has a very storied history, and is where General Grant and General Lee and all these incredible people went to school. The same for Annapolis. VMI is a different place. It's extremely Spartan. The discipline that is enforced among the Corps cadets is, I think, the highest in the country, but I'm biased also. But interestingly, what I find similar to Special Forces is that there's a sense of humor that permeates the place. So Stonewall Jackson, a famous Confederate general, taught there. George Marshall from the Marshall Plan was a cadet and graduated in 1901. And unlike any other school, the Corps of Cadets itself was called up as a reserve unit, infantry unit, in the Battle of Newmarket in 1864. And ultimately were called up to fight in the battle.
So as a unit or as officers spread out? Or
no, as a unit in and of itself.
Yep. Yeah, that's crazy.
And 10 cadets were killed, and it's a big, it's basically the beating heart of VMI. So
what side was that on?
The South.
The South?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's interesting, because that must be one of those ones where it's obviously it's a part of the pride of the college, but it's one of those things that at the same time, some people will probably get their fucking knickers in a twist about that being something that you can have pride about, given the side it was on.
Yeah, right? It's interesting. In reality, these were 16-year-old kids.
Oh, of course, they had no choice. Same as most wars. Who has a fucking choice?
Yeah, but I think that there are similarities too to, the people that we've lost in Iraq and Afghanistan, to the extent that these wars have been legitimate.
Yeah,
honestly. So I think that the focus there is on service that was asked for them by their state. And back then there was a different understanding of your obligation and allegiance to your state.
So the state was the more important thing rather than the country?
It tended to be. I mean, that was what General Robert E. Lee assessed in his own conscience. And God forbid we go back and look at the reality that existed at the time.
Exactly.
Let's just spout off on Facebook and then take down statues. That's a smarter way to do it.
Because I suppose back then, it's I always say this to people about Afghanistan and stuff, when people are trying to say, well, why don't these people want to get behind the country and stuff? I'm like, because they don't have the concept of country.
Right.
They have a concept of tribe. They have a concept of the local town, maybe. But family and tribe is the first thing. And it's hard for people to get their heads wrapped around that, so usually they don't even fucking try.
Right.
You know? Right. And I think it's the same thing with, like, you know, historical things like that. It's, you know, it's, you know, a lot of regiments throughout history in most countries, you know, you were loyal to. I always think, so obviously one of the things that I write about is the Roman period. And you look at all the Roman civil wars and things. So you think there you go, yeah, the SPQR. You think the Roman soldier in those individual legions had a choice about what side of the civil war they fight on? No, it'd be the, you know, they follow the officers and whoever paid them, basically.
Yep.
You know, and they wouldn't know the bigger picture or anything like that. So I think, yeah, that's an important distinction to do. When people judge history, it doesn't mean that you don't fucking move on from lessons in history, but to kind of overlay it with current, you know, with our current ideals and our, you know, our current beliefs. It's just absolutely fucking idiotic.
Yeah, and I think that you have a responsibility to go to some of these original texts, you know, and if you look at how some of these men wrote, it is incredible. I'm reading right now the memoirs of Ulysses S. Grant, and it's fascinating. First of all, his writing style is incredible, but who he was as a general and who he was as a man is something that I personally look up to, you know, as much as any of the other.
Well, he's regarded as the premier general of the war over Lee.
He won the war.
Yeah, well, yeah, Grant, but over Lee, because sometimes, like, if you look at, say, the Germans in the Second World War, some of their generals are regarded as maybe the best generals, but they didn't win the war because of, you know...
Right, so George Gordon Meade won the Battle of Gettysburg, and as well as, you know, some Confederate decisions that tactically were unsound. But Grant is credited with driving the Union Army into Virginia and then laying siege to Richmond, and then ultimately driving the Confederate government down all the way to, I believe it was Alabama, where they finally...
All right, so let's get back to military school, right? Because I'm interested in this.
Okay.
What's like a day in military school like? Because how old are you at the time? You going there at what, 13 years old?
Or
younger?
I was a little young for my year. So I was born on August 28th. So I was actually 17 when they say matriculated.
Oh, so when we're talking school here, we're talking like, we're not talking
college.
High school. Okay, so it's college,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
So are there military schools that are also like high school age?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there are less and less of them.
Right.
You know, sadly, I probably belong. Well, no, I specifically belonged in one.
Right.
When I was in high school, I was thrown out of 3 private schools.
Right.
Which I think is a family record.
Family record, huh?
Yeah, my dad was kicked out of 2.
Well, you can't really say fuck all then, can you? If your dad gets kicked out or something like that, you can't really hold it against you then.
Well, then he, you know, went on to be a decorated Vietnam veteran and a Rhodes Scholar and a classical pianist.
So what is a Rhodes Scholar?
Rhodes Scholar is Cecil Rhodes, who also is controversial now and kind of a revisionist analysis, set up a scholarship where 32 winners from the United States are given, I believe it's a 3-year graduate degree entry to Oxford.
Oh, wow.
So they,
as in the UK, Oxford?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
My father, he was in Christchurch.
Right.
So this is the idea behind the scholarship itself is that this is for very bright, hardworking, and athletic students or graduates.
Right.
Now, if you look at the biographies of the people who are winning the scholarship, they're like mystifying. You know, they've like come up with their own chemical compounds that have saved lives in Haiti, and then they also, you know, swim triathlons around British Columbia. I mean, it's, you know, it's incredible. But
standard stuff.
Yeah, standard stuff
for a weekend.
Right. So typical morning, you would wake up and go to breakfast roll call. Essentially, that's taking attendance, you know, for the Corps cadets, and then you're marched down to breakfast. You have a full day of classes. Twice a week, you've got training time, usually drilling on the parade field. This is like Sandhurst expanded to 4 years plus.
But is there have you committed to the military at this point? You haven't committed to the military, no. This is like a college that happens to have a military theme, but you're not committed to service afterwards.
It's optional. So about 60% of the cadets commission into either of the 4 branches of service. Right. So
what are the 4 branches?
Army, Air Force, Marines, and Navy. Okay.
Cool. Yeah. So Coast Guard. No branch.
I don't think they are.
No, I don't think they are either. It's just I don't know because
God bless them. I know they're moving a lot of coke right now because of the
Yeah, I bet they are. Let's get down to the
They're not
docks.
getting paid.
Podcast cancel.
Yeah. It's essentially a place where you have a full academic schedule, and then you have either physical training or military training time in the afternoon, and then followed by study time. But you will drill in formations. My dad knows how to manipulate me fairly well, and he took me to a full dress review parade when I was 8, and I was sold. It's the only school I applied to.
So a lot of like parade square drill,
Yeah, and then as a freshman, you're called a rat. You're not actually recognized
a rat?
As a rat.
Oh, a rat.
Like a small mammal that eats cheese.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rolling the rat.
Right. So it's what they call the adversative method, i.e. Make it as difficult and challenging as possible, but the ultimate goal of which is to teach an 18-year-old that if they work hard and rely on their friends, they can do anything.
Yeah.
So it's a very romantic ideal that you have for, through military history. But it is a wonderful experience. My class was unique in that we were the first class with women ever after a Supreme Court decision commanded VMI or the state of Virginia to coeducate. So, and then that was a decision written by Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and to her credit and to the school's credit, the decision itself was written in such a manner that didn't take the tact of the coeducation of the service academies, Annapolis and West Point, which are places where women's physical standards are lower than men's, which is not the case in Iraq or Afghanistan, if I remember correctly. Right?
I think I also remember that being the case.
Well, it's not good for morale, and it's stupid.
It's fucking ridiculous, dude. I want to take a second to address this, because I'm like, recently in the UK, they've allowed women to join the combat arms and stuff, which on print, like on paper, it makes sense to me as long as the same standards can be held. My opinion on it is that it will end up fucking things up, because 18-year-old guys are 18-year-old guys, and it will fuck cohesion up like that, which is through no fault of the women. It's not their fault at all if they can meet the standards. But I just know how 18-year-old lads behave together, especially in a group, and especially guys who have a propensity to want to punch or shoot people in the face don't tend to be the people who are the best at controlling the hormones. If they were, they wouldn't be there in the first place.
Yeah.
If they were measured, calm individuals, then they wouldn't be in those fucking places. But that's something that's always bothered me about it, is, you're going for the same job. So you want to be a Royal Artillery officer in the British Army, but you get there's the lower standard to go in. That's fucking insane. That's insane.
So to Justice Ginsburg's credit, she said absolutely not.
Yeah, which is good.
She said that there are women out there who want to attend this school and make no accommodations for them whatsoever. Yeah. There were minor ones made with regard to, hygiene and stuff like that. But the same standards applied even for the fitness test, which is part of your grade point average.
Right. Okay.
So it was literally, which, to some extent you could argue, okay, are we really asking women to do 20 pull-ups? Or frankly, am I asking an outside linebacker to do 20 pull-ups? Yeah. No fucking way. Yeah. I did 32, and I had the record. And look at me, I'm not, I know I look like a badass.
This is moving on a little bit too. This is what, 20-something years down the line?
No, I did too. Well, I'll leave it.
How old do you know?
I'm 39.
Yeah, so this is 22 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this was, 20 years ago? 18 years ago.
Long enough time that there was many pull-ups of deceased since then.
No, I actually broke the Crunch Gym record of 200 pull-ups in 32 minutes. Yeah, this summer.
But we were talking about sets.
Yeah.
So okay, we'll come back to that because I want to talk. I want to talk about.
At any rate, the way the decision was written enabled an egalitarian and an embrace of women at the school, including importing, so to speak, upper class women who were leaders at other military schools.
Right.
So they were in the upper echelon. They weren't considered rats. They were, part of the leadership who were able to help with.
So what's the tier system? You go rats at the bottom.
Yeah.
Then what's the rest?
Well, then you're an actual VMI.
Okay.
Class.
So I was talking with my friend Sebastian before about hazing in the Marines, because hazing, is one of those things that take very seriously now, and the repercussions for being caught hazing means that, it could be the end of your military career for an NCO. So I am going to guess that there was some kind of hazing going on at VMI.
No, it's when
I
it
don't mean
did
this.
happen.
I just want to say I don't mean that. When I say that, personally, I'm not seeing that in a negative light.
Right. No. The term hazing, and like we'll talk about later, the term spy, we're kind of talking about the same thing. We're also kind of not. Okay. So for hazing, there is an unbelievably intense adversative methodology by which you are put into what they call the rat line, and your life fucking sucks.
Right.
And every single cadet who's walking around inside barracks can stop you and fuck your life up for the course of a good 20 to 25 minutes, to the point where you can't do any more push-ups because your arms are going to fall off. You've been sweating and screamed at. And you've been made to recite this lineage of obscure military history from the school that every single one of you're expected to know and understand. So that, and then they've got ritualized large gatherings called sweat parties where they work the shit out of you, and they basically it's super hot. Oh my God, I went to 2 sweat parties last night. It's so hot. So the point of which is to put you together in a mass, and then eventually they want you to start to kind of provoke and bust out of their system.
Right. Okay,
They want you to break the chains because you're strong,
Yeah.
because you've learned, and because you guys are working together.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's the point.
So does it tail off throughout the year? Then it starts with a lot of it, and then it just gradually kind of like...
No, it actually builds up and to the point of what they call breakout, where this ritualized week eventually where you are recognized after an accomplishment as an actual VMI cadet. You're not allowed to call yourself a cadet up until that point.
It's like a Hell Week, kind of like a Bud's Hell Week kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. It's like Hell Week at the end.
Yeah. Basically. So do you have like a... What's the kind of like a... It sounds like there's probably some dropout rate then from this place.
Yeah, we matriculated 470... I want to say 465.
Hang on. We got a lot of listeners from the infantry. Please tell... And including me, what does matriculated mean?
Went to the college.
Right.
Started. And then we graduated, I believe, 240.
Oh, wow. So really high.
Really
high attrition.
Well, there's that. There's guys who took another year, which was an option, right? Okay. If you're like an engineer and you were playing football, no fucking way you're done with school in 4 years. Yeah. It's the smallest Division I school in the country.
Oh, Division I school.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that means we get our asses kicked, but we try hard. So.
Yeah. Okay. So as well, how would that work then for a college athlete? I know you played lacrosse, right?
Right. Yeah, I did.
So how did that work on top of everything else then? Because I know in a lot of Division I schools, if you play football, it's essentially like your full-time job, right?
Right. So to the extent possible, they provide a block every day where you can train, per NCAA rules. We also have a separate dinner that's later than the rest of the Corps cadets, so we can have more time together. But it's a challenge, for sure, and it's also a challenge to recruit for a place like that.
I'm just thinking from because I mean, you got some people would rather go to a Division, say 1AA school, or Division II school, where you could be at the top of the pile rather than like you said, get your ass whooped in a Division I school all the time. Right. Just thinking from a physical training point of view, though, it's like if you're getting smoked randomly by people all day, it's got to be then hard to go to the training field because. I do think that, a good beasting never did anybody harm and, some getting a beasted here and there is going to help your overall fitness. Sure. But if it's day in, day out getting smoked, there is such a thing as overtraining.
For sure. And I think that essentially we lose a year at the school, for sure. Right. Now, was it The Tipping Point, Malcolm Gladwell, where he noticed the ages of the hockey athletes and the ones who were born, like, right after school started, so they had an extra year. Right, to germinate, so to speak.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
I had the opposite, right? I started when I was 17, and then I was a rat, so I weighed about 147 pounds. I was useless on the lacrosse field. I would have been killed. That was I would think that is the case for, even a kid on scholarship for football. They're going to lose a lot of weight just because of the amount of shit that they have to do. Yeah. Even though you'd want to sit there.
Because most of these Division I schools, these guys that, especially like if they, redshirt them for a year, hold them out for the first year, the idea is to stack them up.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know how Brits look at, like, American college football. I think it's just completely fucking insane. I look at these like a fucking 19-year-old kid on a field with 80,000 people screaming, all backed and juiced by corporate money in this kind of peculiar tribal orgy that makes no fucking sense to me.
Well, it makes sense to me is it's insane. And What doesn't make sense to me is
But are they going to college?
No,
Honestly?
that's what I'm saying.
Then what the fuck
doesn't
are
make
we
sense.
doing?
It
right?
should be a professional sport.
Yeah.
It's an absolute. I'll tell you what it is. It's a fucking slave market. It's a slave.
Sure.
It's a slave. It's slavery. It's modern day slavery. You're getting people from really shitty backgrounds a lot of the time,
Yep.
and saying like, because people, the opinion that that pisses me off when it comes to people who are like, oh, they had a choice. Did they have a fucking choice? Because they say you could turn it down. Why would? No, they don't have a choice. The best, that's the best offer they're going to get. If you're from a fucking deprived area somewhere in the country and someone offers you the chance to go to college, like, you're going to take that opportunity. And then they can burn you out for a few years. Chances of making the NFL are fucking tiny.
Right.
And that's the only way you're going to make any money. Most people
and
go
then
to
you're
the NFL.
and then you're really screwed because you graduate and then your skills are not useful.
Yeah, exactly. And most of a lot of the Division I schools and stuff, where these players are playing full time, their degrees are in some total bullshit anyway, which doesn't really matter. And they don't even they're not even having there are some schools like Stanford where you have to keep a really good GPA
Sure.
even if you're on a football team.
Sure.
But those places are the absolute
Few and far
rarity.
between.
So I think
there's one that was called. It's my father's favorite actually. It's from one of these schools like Texas A&M,
Yeah.
and it's called Range Science.
Yeah.
Right, as in home on the range science.
Oh,
Absolute
wow.
complete.
Oh, dude, I was
bullshit.
thinking this was one now. It's like, because I thought, well, why don't they just get them studying football? So, like, when they leave, they can go into coaching or something
Sure.
like that, something. Or, it's like some kind of personal training or something. Something
Right.
that makes sense around what they're doing. Let's not fucking pretend that what's going on is anything other than them being used and exploited. Because the coaches of these places are getting paid millions of fucking dollars.
Sure.
The team coaches are getting paid millions. The guys are getting nothing. Their rights, their rights get used. They
Colleges
get no money
get
from the
a
rights.
shitload of money from
Yeah.
public exposure, from
And
networks.
They get absolutely they get no money from the rights. Like their rights can be sold to computer games and stuff like that. The kids get no fucking money out of it. And if they happen to do something like, say, sign some fucking footballs and sell them, they get absolutely jumped on.
Mm-hmm.
And there's we're talking billions of dollars coming from ESPN and these other TV networks for the right to show the games. I think it's something 30,000 something college players come out of college football players come out of the system every year.
Yep.
How many go to the NFL? Right.
Well, like 2.
Kill 100, go to the NFL,
yeah.
right? How many? But most of them, even if they make a team, they'll be on the rookie minimum, which I think is about $500,000. Which by the time you take the tax and the agent fees,
and the average is 3 years.
Yeah, the average is 3 years. And wow, I wasn't going to go down this route straight away, but let's fucking go down it. Because the reason we got put together was because our friend Nate Boyer, who is a former Green Beret, became the oldest ever rookie to make it in the NFL. What Nate and other people realize too is that there's a lot of correlation between what an NFL player or any other high level sport in person, what they go through when they come out of uniform compared to what a service person goes through when they come out of uniform.
Right.
So if you have trained, let's say you start playing Pee Wee football when you're probably 7, 8 years old, you play through high school, and if you're in some of those high schools as well, just like the college system,
unbelievable. I was watching one on Facebook yesterday, and it was incredible.
But yeah, you're playing in front of thousands of people.
Yeah.
Your almost entire day is turned over to football. And then you go to college, and most of your time in college, probably 4 years realistically in college, isn't it? For most of them will do 4 or 5 years, all turned over to football. And then maybe you make the NFL. Let's say you make the NFL for the average. If you make the NFL, you'll get 3 seasons, right?
Yeah.
So you might be by this point, 24 years old, and then you're done. And then you've spent nearly, by this point, 16 years of your life where your identity has been football player. And this goes for a lot of sports. And then you're done.
Right.
At 24 years old. And, you might live another 60 fucking plus years. But your identity is football player.
Yeah.
That's all you've done. That's all you've been good at. That's all you've known your whole life. That is very similar to I'll use British Army as an example. Joins at 16. Serves 12 years. Leaves at 28. All his identity has been soldier.
Sure.
And then he leaves at 28. Not really prepared for the outside world, doesn't know outside locker room or barrack room or whatever. It's that same thing. You have this culture, the culture inside a sports team is not the culture that you get in the civilian world. No, exactly. It's just not. It's just not.
No.
It's totally different. It's literally like you are having to learn life again, but you're already in your mid-20s. And you're playing catch-up with everybody else that it seems to seem... I'm not saying it is, but it seems like everybody else has got this shit
that's
figured
true.
out.
I mean, the first oasis that I found when my ex-wife and I got married and moved to New York, I was just kind of, a bit stunned by the city, right? And it didn't really fit me. And it's this, 7 million disparate people who aren't necessarily really linked or not linked at the level that I was in my previous time as an intelligence officer. And then I found a Muay Thai gym. And I learned Muay Thai. I was trained in Muay Thai by a former Special Forces assaulter who, when he learned where I was going and what I was going to be doing, he said, that's, and he heard I was, some fucking SEAL contractors giving us bullshit courses and driving in weapons. He said, that's not good enough. I want to teach you combatives. And so he taught me Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And eventually I said, listen, it's great that your balls are in my face. It's 6:15 in the morning, but could we please just do the stand-up and kicking shit? And he's like, okay, let's do that. At any rate, it was an oasis to walk into that gym. It's run by an Aussie, Brandon, who's incredible and who's got a great sense of humor. Very professional, and it's a wonderful place. No mohawks or no, extreme UFC bullshit. None of that's tolerated. But that sense
you can't have a mohawk?
I mean, you can, but you know what I mean.
But
like,
they're not mandatory.
Right, they're not. I cannot have a mohawk if you haven't fucking noticed. Thanks for bringing it up.
Well, we're not, so those are on the podcast. Charlie is follically challenged.
I just said a little off the top in the barber.
Well, you got the beard going, though.
Thanks, man.
Switch it up.
But the point being is, I was able to come in and there was some element of a tribal feeling, and everybody, that it's a very similar sense of humor, I think, in the MMA world, right, that you have in the military world. Kind of fucked up and, sarcastic and, whatever.
Yeah, there's nothing like getting punched in the face or risk to death to make you have a fucked up sense of humor.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So to that extent, tapping back into that tribal identity and then physical fitness, it's a hell of a workout too. Yeah. Was a big help for me, but there wasn't a program like MVP, which is what Nate ultimately founded, which we're working to open here, and I just raised $100,000 last month to help get our program going in New York City. Right, we want this to be, one of the premier platforms. This is where the NFL is. We have 200,000 veterans in the city, but it's a weekly program where you're training in MMA, kind of MMA light, i.e., MMA plus fitness. The idea is to, work out together and get on a good sweat with everybody. The other idea is from a neurological standpoint, your brain is clearer and more relaxed, but sharper at the same time, as you know. So
people get out that habit of doing daily fitness in the military, and it's like anything. You become used to what you're not used to. So let's say you eat junk food for a month, right? You forget what it feels like when your body has good, clean fuel. You just forget. And then if you go on like a good diet and you eat clean and exercise, you're like, oh, fuck. Yeah, I forget that I could feel this way. Same with someone that smokes or drinks.
It's pretty quick, too.
Yeah, and then same with those endorphins you get from training. Mm-hmm. You forget. Like, I used to fucking run as a kid every fucking day from, like, my kind of mid-teens, right? And I did that all the way up until I was probably about, like, in my late 20s. And I just started running again recently, and I was like, oh, fuck, I forgot this feeling.
Right.
Like, you forget how good it is. Not people like me and Charlie, obviously, because we're handsome as fuck. I'm sure there's some listeners out there who have forgotten how good it is to have sex. But go out there and have it, because you'll remember, this feels fucking good.
If you can't see your dick, you're not going to...
We know some great rub and tugs out there. But, like, you forget all this stuff, like how good it makes you feel. And even if somebody's doing nothing else for their mental health.
Yes.
Apart from doing physical fitness. That in itself. I'm just going to go on being off for a bit of a tangent. When I first went to see, like, therapists and stuff like that, I'm a big fan of therapy, but I thought it was crazy that I got offered antidepressants and drugs before I got offered gym membership. Mm-hmm. That's bonkers on so many levels. Just one, economically for the country, it's bonkers. Right. Fucking gym membership. Shout out Power Zone Gym in Wrexham. Veterans, £19. Get your ass down there. Go and see Kane. He will sort you out for £19 a month. But seriously, that £19 a month I spend out there has probably extrapolated to God knows how much money I've made through work because I've been in such a better place. How much does it fucking cost to prescribe fucking antidepressants to people every month? And I'm not saying there's no place for antidepressants and it goes person by person, I'm not saying that. But shouldn't this be the first place where we go to people when it comes to stuff like that? Is let's get you fucking fit, let's get you moving, let's get you active. Dude, we are strategically shaved chimpanzees, right? Who we are at our happiest when we're swinging around and throwing shit and pushing each other around and stuff like that. That's when
isn't that the point of tribe, right? That we're made to exist as groups of primates of 50 or 60.
And that's why MVP kind of, and I think is a great charity for it, and I think that's why it's really cool that you've got involved with that. But just any kind of Muay Thai group, a rugby club.
Oh yeah.
And I don't do group stuff like that anymore, but when I go down to my local gym, quite often, and I don't even know about the strategically shaped part, there's just a bunch of gorillas in there. But they're all very nice gorillas. And just being in there, when there's a group of about 12 of you, and everyone's training together, and you're shouting a bit of banter back and forth, God, I come out of there feeling like 10 inches taller.
Well, I think it's, one of the... And the way that I got involved with MVP wasn't via Nate. It was through Randy Couture. So I met Randy. No, I'm just.
All right, so just tell people because I know who Randy Couture is, and I'm sure everyone above 25 will do. But for the younger listeners, tell.
So he was the original heavyweight champion of the UFC.
Bad motherfucker.
He's a serious bad motherfucker. He's an Army veteran. Yeah. And he's a wonderful guy, and he is one of the ambassadors for emerging vets and players.
Yeah. He's like I remember when I first started watching UFC, because there's some people in there, let's be honest, you watch UFC and you see some people and you're like, this guy's a cockbag.
Yeah.
And they behave like a cockbag. Right, he seemed like the nicest guy who he'd walk an old lady across the street and then just punch someone's face in on the other side, if they were in the wrong.
Yeah.
But not for any bad reason. But I think people like that are actually scary to me, to be honest.
Well, he's
he's true warrior.
He totally is, and the reason I was bringing him up was he has that calm disposition.
Yeah.
He's a very easy guy to talk to. Doesn't mean that he isn't kind of listening and having opinions and able to absolutely annihilate you. But he wouldn't do that, and he's a warm, generous guy who's very loyal, and I'm lucky to consider him a friend. And he's taught me a lot about not looking at life and different events from that kind of that fire standpoint that we can cultivate in ourselves, especially like in our 20s. I remember he was kind of narrating about how if some guy were to start shit, if you could imagine, right, at a bar fight or something like that, how he'd walk out and how, if he saw that the guy was charged up, which is the case in 99% of these encounters, he would be happy to see that because he'd be able to analyze exactly how he'd be able to eviscerate him from a very calm mental standpoint. Yeah, I know. I was like, I see what you mean, and I took like 2 steps.
That just made me think, note to self, never misbehave around Randy Couture.
Yeah, no. So we met on the set of a movie that his girlfriend was in, and my friend was a producer on. So in my spare time, I produced movies, and it was a pretty amusing introduction, and then I'll kind of leave it at that. We can talk about MVP, but my friend knew that I did Muay Thai and paid attention to UFC, and he said, that's we're outside of St. Patrick's Cathedral, right? Very large place in the middle of New York, the gigantic church, and they're shooting inside, and he's like, that's Randy Couture over there, and I just look at him, and I do that double New York thing. One, in New York, fucking keep your head down, don't piss out, just leave celebrities alone, if you're really from New York. 2, I'm a goddamn producer. Don't go and annoy somebody. Just, don't go fanboy somebody. Yeah. So, since unfortunately I've known the person who was telling me this information since I was 1 year old, he gives 0 fucks and proceeds to scream across the set, "Yo, Randy, my boy Charlie, I told you about him. Yeah, he's too embarrassed to come and say hi to you." And literally 70 people stare at me while my Red Sox hat just goes down over my face.
We're in Red Sox hat?
Yeah, because we're world champions. Yeah. We're in New York?
Yeah.
I mean, no, fuck them. We beat the Yankees, and fuck the Yankees. Actually, no, I should, I say that with a lot of love and respect for Yankees as well, and for destroying my emotional development as a kid every year. But their closer, this badass Mariano Rivera, was just elected into the Hall of Fame, and it's pretty great. He's a real rock star and a gentleman, but. I don't know if I would, have spoken like that about a Yankee.
Yeah, I don't follow baseball, dude. All I know is that whenever I wear a cap,
like each other.
Yeah.
So,
well, whenever I wear a cap that has Yankees on it, I'm on my Instagram. My friends from Boston are like,
in Boston.
Well, that's the thing. So we had
New York, it's not a big deal, but in Boston, it's a bigger.
Yeah, we had a bet on the other week that if the Chargers beat the Patriots, he had to wear my Yankees cap. I was going to pick the dive. I was actually probably going to back out of it because I realized it was a terrible idea. But just a picture of him winning it, it would have been enough. But as it was, the Chargers got absolutely butt fucked. So, thanks, Chargers.
Yeah,
appreciate that. Went all the way up to Boston to see it. But yeah, so getting back to MVP and shit, then, dude. So this, like you said, this kind of tribe thing.
Yep.
I think it's stuff. It's something that I think the military could do a better job of. I'm not saying I don't believe you should have your hand held by the military when you leave, but I do think that there should be because look, there's only one thing that people tend to push you in the direction of when you go and seek help for anything like that. It's like group therapy, sitting around on a bunch of chairs, and that appeals to fucking no one. Yeah. Like this idea of sitting around on a bunch of folding up chairs in a community center.
Actively made it worse for me. And I had just completed a post-traumatic stress course at New York Presbyterian Hospital, which actually, you've probably mentioned this in the previous podcast, but we're sitting maybe a tenth of a mile from ground zero.
Oh yeah, well let's bring that up in case people didn't catch it on the last one. Yeah, right now we are. I don't know the exact measurement, so I'm going to say close as fuck to ground zero 9/11, which is like I was saying on when we did the last one in this location. As kind of a trip because you and I wouldn't be here having this conversation if that hadn't happened, and I wouldn't know Nate, who's now one of my best friends. I wouldn't have met you. Wouldn't have met. Technical difficulties with my mouth. Wait, that sounded wrong.
It's the first time,
but I'm going to stick with it. We wouldn't be sitting here, and obviously, fucking massive tragedy what it was. I think there's actually a lesson here that any tragedy, no matter the scale, there can be silver linings and things that have come out of it.
Yep.
That doesn't mean that we wish these things to happen, but this can be on a national scale. Or it can be on a personal scale. If you have a tragedy as a nation, you can grow stronger out of it. As a city, the whole Boston, go back to Boston, the whole Boston Strong thing with the Boston Marathon. I was in Manchester at the time when there was a bombing there. You can feel the difference the next day in the sense of community becomes stronger. So there's always positives that you can take out of these things. Sorry, I derailed.
Oh no, I was just saying that when I left. I was a Defense Department civilian, technically. Mm-hmm. So I was trained in all of these advanced human intelligence collection techniques, but there is no program or support network or active taxpayer-funded, anything for when you leave. You're given maybe a couple medals and told to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And then you have to, and then you're just kind of released into the wild, and you have to figure stuff out for yourself. I was lucky that my wife at the time was a resident at New York Presbyterian Hospital, and this is where they pioneered the use of what they call exposure therapy. So they had virtual reality headsets that would put you in, virtually rock. Now I did take those off because they were like, "Well, what's wrong with that?" I was like, "I didn't listen to a fucking Humvee. I was in a local Toyota. I had a different job." So,
I want to know more about this because having come from the British military establishment, I think the closest we have to virtual reality, destroying the studio here, is being told to close your eyes and pretend you're back in Iraq.
Right.
Now, there may be other stuff since I've gone through. I'm not saying, but I've never come across any virtual reality stuff.
So the therapist actually has at his or her, in my case it was her, she was amazing, at her controls, right? AK-47 fire, bursts, auto, bombs, cool. IEDs. I mean, you just got the fucking call to prayer. I heard that and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, that
one that brought me back. Dogs barking, shit like that. So,
So can you see stuff, or is it just
yeah, you
sound?
can visually, and you can drive through a town, and so this was
Sounds really
designed
cool.
for this was designed for regular soldiers, and I wasn't.
Yeah.
There was nothing regular about my job, so we had to work on my stuff experientially. So the way that I had a severe case of post-traumatic stress after 3 tours, and then leaving the Defense Department, and then being effectively isolated and not really having any network of people who knew.
And that's not self-isolation either, right?
No,
but due to the nature of the job.
Right. Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's a tiny number of people who are selected and then groomed and then trained in this kind of job. And then for me, being part of the Defense Department, it's an even smaller number. And then the units that we work with within the military are a tiny number of the elite of the elite of the elite. And I don't go around using their common, monikers just because I'm above that, and think that people who do call it out are a little bit, I don't know, selfish and or aggrandizing.
Yeah, so we're talking about organizations like Pew 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 and Pew 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 Pew.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, those guys are sick.
Yeah, the Pew Meisters, Pew Master Generals.
At any rate, the point being that, it was a small universe that I came from. There's no active network, nor any mechanism for me to get help, which I needed. I began self-medicating with alcohol to try to quiet things down. I went and saw GPs. They gave me Xanax, basic or Wellbutrin, and these were kind of initial band-aids to try to fix my challenge and my problem. And then when I got into this post-traumatic stress treatment program, it was incredible. She said, pick the 3 most traumatic events of your deployments, and so I did. It's the highlight reel. And then she said, okay, I want you to narrate each one of them from start to finish. And I did. The entire time I'm recording it on my iPhone. She said, now you're to listen to this 3 times a day for the next week, and we're going to come back.
So this is the
again.
exposure therapy.
This is the exposure therapy part. And after, I think, about 5 months, each recollection is tripled in length, right? It's much more detail-oriented. I'm emotional. I'm smelling things and hearing things and kind of seeing everything within these experiences. And then, eventually, and it was a bit abrupt, and she said, okay, we're finished. And I said, really? Oh, and she assigned me homework. I had to go sit with my back to a restaurant. It's a fucking nightmare for a former case officer.
I did exactly the same.
Go sit and ride elevators and stay on subway platforms. But what she did do was, I'm going to play you something, and I want you to listen to this. And she played me my first recordings, and it was like I was reading it out of The Economist. Like it didn't happen to me. It was because your monkey brain tries to suppress this shit, and then it starts to flash out in different places, and then your life is more or less skewed because of it. So the good news is that it's a treatable condition. More or less. I don't want to say 100% of anything, but there was I was explaining this. I'm a big fan of therapy myself because they later determined once that was gone, there's something else that was wrong, and they finally, after pumping me full of antidepressants, because that's what you do to somebody who's seen fucked up shit, right? They realized, oh, well, Charlie's bipolar, and that's why I was so good at my job.
And so that's like a pre-existing thing, right?
Yeah. And we had no idea it was this was done about 3 years ago finally, and then you're able to get the right balance of medication. You don't need self-medication, and then you realize the way they diagnosed me. This was another doctor. She's from Colombia, like the country, and she had me diagnosed in about 40 minutes. It was incredible. She basically narrated my story back to me, and she said, so you were thrown out of 3 schools, then you went to VMI, you were president of your class, president of the school, played Division I lacrosse, and minored in Arabic. Now you went over to the Defense Intelligence Agency, volunteered for Iraq, then deployed with a special mission unit out of Fort Bragg, whose task force is primarily responsible for hunting terrorists and hostage rescue. And you were not only accepted, but embraced by them and asked to return for a second tour immediately. And then you were groomed and then selected as a case officer and ran undercover operations for a third tour. And then you came back and then you had nothing to do, so you got depressed, isolated, drank a lot, and kind of fucked your life up and got divorced. And then you decided that you wanted to make movies, so you just went ahead and produced a fucking independent film that got picked up by IFC and is now available on Netflix.
Yeah.
She's
You
like,
want to plug
"Do you
that?
see-"
Tell people what the name.
It's called the Preppie Connection, and it's about a young entrepreneur. He's 16 years old and he gets busted with $300,000 worth of cocaine. It actually happened in '84.
Is that on British Netflix?
I don't know. I know that we're on North American Netflix and we're on iTunes.
Just go pirate that shit, people.
All right, do not do that.
Go pirate it.
Jesus, cost me a 401k and a marriage, you fucks. It's worth it. No, I'm kidding. Actually,
she's not listening. No one's listening.
No,
dude.
I actually,
that wasn't my ass. That was a chair.
We mentioned.
I'm totally lying.
I think we've kind of talked about this, but I'm very lucky to have a good relationship with my ex-wife, a very close one where, we're friends. I'm friends with her new husband. She's just had a baby. We actually have joint custody in the paperwork of our divorce of our dog Fenway.
Fenway, that's a Boston reference.
Yeah. So she has been. I called her and I said, "Listen, I'm going to be on a podcast, and I want to know, what you're comfortable with me talking about. I don't want to speak for you, And she said that she just, it was the unpredictability and kind of the inability to really understand what was going to happen with me that she couldn't participate in a marriage.
Well, don't you find that about yourself? Because, that's something I find. I find myself unpredictable. So I totally don't hold it against anybody else who would have a problem with that. Because I'm fucking unpredictable.
Right.
I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, dude.
If you say stuff, if you talk to other people, they've had nightmarish divorces, and I think if it involves kids and money, and we had neither basically, and but I honestly want the best for her, and I've held her baby in my arms.
Isn't this a very strange concept? That someone that you've had a great experience with, that you can want the best for them even when you're not with them.
Yeah.
Isn't this a novel concept?
Isn't that crazy?
I'm directing the camera right now. People out there, let's just fucking love and embrace each other. Just because you decide to go different ways in life doesn't mean you have to slander each other on Facebook, even though I do find it amusing, so sometimes keep putting that stuff up there. But how about just fucking chilling the fuck out?
Yeah.
Just come on, man. All love each other. Share your dogs.
I agree.
Share your dogs. Share your kids.
Dogs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've shown you a picture of Fenway. So the Ewoks are actually based off of this dog's face. She's a Brussels Griffin. And I know that because I'm actually ordained as a Jedi minister in the state of New York.
Really?
Yeah. I performed one marriage and I have my next in 2.
Well, that's not weird. Well, you actually get paid for that shit?
No, dude. They're my friends.
Oh.
They're just ones who aren't really religious.
How many Jedis are there compared to isn't there some real religions that have less people in the US than Jedis?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a very popular religion
in the UK. If you're a Jedi?
You have to demonstrate, I think, via the Commonwealth of New York law that you are ordained with some larger ministry. In this case, it's called the Universalist Life Church, which is like a bullshit, religious organization. They literally have a designation for Pastafarians.
Pastafarians?
Yeah.
So Italians are like...
Pastafarians like you're stoned, Rasta. Yeah, if you're really high and you want to eat pasta, I guess. I don't know.
Dude, honestly, I
hold the Jedi in higher regard.
Well, dude, I would believe the Jedi story as easily as I believe Scientology.
I believe the Jedi story in terms of my identification with any organized religion. The idea that Joseph Campbell had, which is where George Lucas came up with Star Wars, right? This mythology of the hero's journey, i.e. Luke Skywalker's journey.
Yeah, I'm supposed to know this
Everything...
stuff but let me give him a fucking notebook.
Well, Joseph Campbell was this amazing American mythologist who identified all of these different kinds of patterns for human behavior. Yeah. And, within cultures, primitive cultures in the jungle, they have this kind of concept of ritualizing and celebration of death, of blood. right? Because they see that growth in the jungle come out of the dead. And that's literally part of how primitive cultures and the Mayans, I mean, this is why they sacrifice people, and it's kind of where it came from. And so it's interesting to see how these different cultures developed almost because of their climate. You know, as somebody who I took Arabic on a dare from my father. He said, you know, they're teaching Arabic next year, but you've got a lot on your plate. You probably don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And that's all you have to say to me.
Mind tricks.
Yeah.
He mind
I'll show you, Dad.
Yeah, he mind fucks.
Let me take on this fucking nightmare of a religion, of a language.
Oh, God.
Now I'm in trouble.
There we go. Getting sued.
Jesus. At any rate, it is a nightmare of a language. But one of the things that you bring up and that you brought up initially with your discussion of Afghanistan that is consistent in the Arab world, particularly in the part of that we're discussing with regard to Iraq, is that there's not a word in Arabic that's really native to the language. They have one now that approximates it for compromise.
Huh.
Think of that.
Yeah.
The idea that you're in a Semitic culture, right? A tribal and Semitic culture where there's not enough fucking stuff for you and I to have an agreement and be like, yeah, that actually was a pretty good deal. All right, high fives, and then let me go grab my camel. That's pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
and that informs how people are going to behave, how cultures develop, and if you're the United States government, how to fucking manipulate them.
Yeah.
But if you're politically motivated and stupid, like our Defense Department leadership and leadership of the White House getting us into Iraq in the first place, you don't know how to pull those levers.
Right.
And we were sitting there screaming, just fucking bribe the tribal leaders. They will lock shit down.
Yeah.
Then do what you need to do. But they wanted to literally create a democracy out of this fucking insane culture.
Did they want to create it?
What are you going to do? I mean, if you take the fucking top off the
Well, no,
lid,
that's my point. Okay, so here's my thing, dude, right? I am Lance Corporal Jones, right? I used to hump a machine gun around, and I can put a book together, right? And I don't pretend to be the most clever fucking man, even in this fucking room of 3 people right now, because in case you can't see, we have a friend Miles in the corner there.
Way smarter than both of us.
Exactly. So I don't pretend to be clever, okay? But even I fucking said at the time, this doesn't seem like a good idea.
No.
And then when Syria happened, I said, this doesn't seem a good idea.
Even worse.
And I saw that. Lance Corporal Jones saw this. So I don't think that this collection of people in power can be that stupid as to not see that.
Yes,
which makes me think that...
Yes,
no, I don't know, dude. I think it has to be deliberate. It has to be deliberate. You can't have that many fucktards.
They've got a larger agenda for things that they think are capable, but none of them had any military experience.
Yeah,
Dick Cheney had 5 fucking draft deferments because he's a huge pussy.
Yeah, but even someone who doesn't have military experience, I don't. Maybe I'm giving people too much credit, but my thing, I just can't see how someone can think, this will work out. I just think that you can deliberately fuck things up.
Well, maybe. I think it can be a combination of a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
Because what you're talking about, right? What Lance Corporal Jones, what his opinion is, you're talking about Occam's razor, right?
Yes.
The simplest explanation is usually correct, right? We've got a dictator who's holding a lid on this fucked up constellation of people in Iraq. Now we're going to take off the lid, and we've got nothing to replace it with.
Yeah.
So all hell's going to break loose.
Yeah.
I mean, that should have been the native conclusion. But if that didn't go along with your ideology of what you wanted to happen with the Middle East, then you're going to ignore it because it's not what you want to hear. And if you come from an academic background and or a background that sees, I don't know what Cheney honestly was thinking strategically, other than having another level.
Dude, maybe they just smoked a bunch of balloons and shit and just like fucking maybe things. Like I said, maybe I give them too much credit, but I do think you made a good point there with the academic thing, because I do think with academics sometimes academics have their theory and then they try and make everything fit their theory rather than revise their theory. Right. So maybe it is a case of they've come from
and it's not an empirical analysis, and that's why you saw that friction where, they blame the intelligence community for getting WMD wrong, when if you keep going up and knocking on someone's door and shouting on them, shouting at them, when they're sitting there and they're supposed to be a hermetic seal between the analysis of an intelligence officer, right, and then the policy prerogatives of the larger U.S. government, you're supposed to tell them what you think, not what you think that they want to hear.
Yeah.
So in that dialogue, I think everything, and we had already gotten muscled up for war, and we kind of wanted one.
Yeah.
You could feel it in America.
I think it's like an MMA guy. If you get training, you get warmed up for a fight. You don't want there to be no fight. You need to have a fight at some point. And then I think that there's a certain thing with momentum as well, as once things get put into motion. We've seen this with the First World War, the Second World War.
Sure.
Like people say, it was the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand caused the First World War. It wasn't going to be anything at that point. It's all mobilized. Everyone's already fucking got going.
Same thing for the Gulf of Tonkin, right?
Yeah.
For the Vietnam War.
Isn't that now a proven kind of like a fucking set?
Absolutely. They just fired off into the night, and then Johnson said that's a reason to go to war. And then we went to war against Victor Charlie, and then my dad goes to Vietnam and then names me Charlie.
Was that why he got you called Charlie?
I mean, I think maybe he needs to talk to somebody about that.
Maybe get him on the podcast. I haven't had any Vietnam veterans in, man.
No, it's a family name.
Yeah,
that's what they tell me at least.
Yeah.
So,
did he ever shout "Charlie's in the trees" or like anything like that?
No, he's been he served I think 13 or 14 months in 1967-68. He was there for Tet.
Yeah.
He said during Tet that the medics walked around and gave everybody Benzedrine. They were up for like 5 days.
What's Benzedrine?
Speed.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I think there was a lot of shit flying around in Vietnam.
No, but I mean, this is like your medics.
Oh no, I get you. Yeah. Well, I mean, they used to give the German, like, wasn't it Germany that developed meth for pilots?
Yeah.
I mean, so you had a bunch of like meth head pilots like flying around. Imagine that, like,
how'd you smoke 8 packs of cigarettes?
Yeah, cranked out meth heads just flying around bombing shit. There's a lot of fucking crazy stuff going on. I mean, what did they give us? Red Bull? Well, I feel let down. Where the fuck was our meth?
They think that that's part of the stuff that Hitler was on, right? If you look at him at the end of the war and how he's shaking, and whether that was Parkinson's or...
You could definitely see him hanging outside of 7-Eleven begging for some change to go and get some fucking meth.
Well, weren't we laughing about how, spying is... The only things that happen at a public telephone are drug deals and spying.
And blowjobs.
And blowjobs, if you're lucky. If you dial the right...
You could be a spy, got a blowjob.
You dial the right number. Huh?
Yeah, you can be a spy. Is that even... telephone boxes exist? I don't know if I've seen any around recently. I haven't really seen any.
They've been... I've seen them around New York where they're modified as like Wi-Fi stations and, charging ports.
Yeah. I don't know. I just wouldn't feel comfortable standing around one. So it's like saying, please come and put a knife to me and take my phone while I stand here in this
there've been some pretty... There were 2 scenes, and I've gone into a little bit of detail about my near autistic memory of film details, but Trading Places has a great scene where the guy who's stealing the orange crop information is on the phone with the dukes, who are like the evil barons, and he's standing there and he's in the telephone booth, and this woman is sitting there just kind of rolling her eyes, going, and then he keeps talking and talking, and then he just like opens up the door and just yells, "Fuck off!" and then shuts the door. Like it works for certain movie elements. Yeah. Now you can't do that anymore. The other thing that I think is really amusing every time I watch spy shit, and I leave it alone. I'm not going to sit there and be like, that's totally unrealistic. That was not how we were trained.
Oh, so it's not how I am. I'm a dick.
But I will be a dick about the phones, because they just run around like just being like operational shit.
All right, come on. Okay, best spy movies ever. Let's have it out. Best spy movies.
I mean, I think The Spy Who Came In From the Cold is one of the greatest.
Okay, I was going to say Spy Hard with Leslie Nielsen.
I'm never going to criticize anything with Leslie Nielsen. He's a fucking genius.
I think I've actually never seen the one that you're talking about, but
it's a Richard Burton movie, black and white, Cold War.
I'm actually going to write that down. Say it again.
The Spy Who Came In From the Cold.
Okay, any more?
That which I thought was incredible. Let's see. I want to say Spy Game was pretty interesting.
Was that one? Was that kid one?
That was the one. No.
Oh, Spy Kids. Wait, I was in the clues in the name.
That was super accurate when they had the 7-year-old take the PB&J. No, this was the one with Robert Redford and Brad Pitt, who you and I both get compared to.
Yeah, quite often.
Every day.
Yes, pretty often.
No,
people tune into the video now going, "Fucking made me log into YouTube for this."
In terms of other movies related to. There was a scene in Lost, and if you want to know what being a case officer is like, there's a scene in Lost where, if you remember, there's an Arab character who's from Iraq, right? And remember in Lost, they do whatever they're doing on the island, and then they go into the backstories.
Yes.
Well, they have the American invasion, and then they have a guy who has information, and they have this guy torture him basically to get the information. Mm-hmm. And then he walks out, and you can tell that he's kind of filled with shame and regret. This other guy's just been abused, and he's basically unconscious. And then you have a guy walk up to him, looks at him, and hands him $500 and says, "Thank you." Right? That's essentially like what an intelligence operation looks like. Okay, so people want to say
that's quite a good disc. Yeah.
Well, I mean, because people think that being a I would never call myself a spy, but people do if they want to write a book about themselves and aggrandize it, because that's not what spying is. What we're talking about is I'm trained as a handler and recruiter of other humans who can provide me information and in the process likely commit treason and put them and their family at risk on behalf of the United States government. And I do that under whatever kind of cover necessary in order to gain that information. Yeah. That's it. That's on Wikipedia. That's on CIA-approved books. None of this is it's what every intel service on the planet does. Yeah. But people blur all those things together, so they think that they think that there's a Jason Bourne, right? Yeah. Somebody who gets the information, analyzes it themselves, and then shoots somebody in the head.
Yeah, and runs around train stations with people just dropping dead everywhere.
And so those are like 4 or 5 different people and or larger organizations.
I want to actually let's get any spy novels, or because there's probably some people listening to this.
I think The Great Game is incredible.
Great Game.
Yeah, original story of the British war in Afghanistan and the manipulation of empires.
Any other ones? They're not really spy ones, but they kind of have like some kind of like tradecraft and stuff like that in there. And they're like kind of detective-y ones. But like, if you like a bit of sneaky beaky, check out the Bernie Gunther novels. Philip Kerr. It's set around in and post-war Germany. They're really cool, but they're not like spy. But they're kind of like Le Carre in style.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, I don't know how do you say his name.
I'm going to say Le Carre. You say Le Carre, and then that way one of us got it right.
Because I like his stuff, and I think that the Smiley it's 4 books, right? For the Smiley episodes or whatever for George Smiley, the famous television.
Yeah, there's a new. Yeah, I think there's a new one now too.
He's incredible, and he's a former SIS officer, and they're still like blurry about it. And you're like, motherfucker, it was 4 decades ago. Yeah. Nobody cares. I think your cover's blown, dog. Yeah. It's all right.
What's his name? The guy that Ian Fleming that wrote the Bond books. Mm-hmm. He actually did a bunch of crazy shit himself, didn't he? Yeah. But there's a I don't know. It's in my reading pile, a biography about him.
Alan First. He's got great books too that are more about like. That underground, right, in World War II. And
but fuck all their books anyway. Just buy mine.
Yeah,
please.
I just bought yours.
No, I wasn't talking about you. I was addressing the listener.
I didn't know how many stars to give it.
People usually give it. I love it when people give it a 1 star and then give it a great review, and they've clearly thought that it's like it's number 1, so I give it a 1 star. I'm like, dude, you just tanked it. You just tanked the fucking number.
You just fucked up the algorithm.
I love Amazon reviews, dude. I should stop reading them. Like, I appreciate, by the way, anyone listening that's giving me an Amazon review, a good one. I appreciate it.
We had, I think we only had 6 reviewers for our movie, and they all hated it because, God forbid, you tell this kind of not traditional, but a more conventional story that people can identify with, but release it as an independent film,
right?
Where it's not artsy enough, or it's not as unrealistic as fuckheads in Brooklyn walking around whining about their feelings to each other. Which will get.
Isn't that what we're doing right now? Well, we're doing it in Manhattan.
We're doing it in Manhattan.
Okay,
exactly.
So totally
it's much different.
Yeah, and, fucking want to do it in Brooklyn.
So we'd get a great review, right? Yeah. But ours wasn't. So I think we actually have the largest disparity between audience reviews and critics reviews.
Dude, I sometimes think God, you know what? I'm kind of being a bit selfish to my publisher with my book, because really, if I blew my brains out just before it came out, it would fucking be probably number huge. 1. Yeah, it'd be number 1. And I'm wondering if my publisher's kind of like sitting there thinking, I wonder if we can just like really kind of like push Gez over the edge this week. Like let's send him a girl who's going to be his perfect girl, and she'll lead him on, and then she will start feeding him drugs, and then the week before, dump him, and then he'll blow his brains out, and then we'll get fantastic reviews because it'll be like, this book by the soldier who killed himself. And before people start getting fucking triggered, I'm joking. And before, actually, I'm just saying that because I don't want to give the publisher ideas.
No, but remember that literally happened as Truman Capote wrote In Cold Blood.
Did he?
Yeah,
There's no such thing as original ideas.
Because it was serialized, so it would come out in the New Yorker, and then he met with the editor, and he's like, "Listen, and Capote at this point was kind of helping them get appeals, right? And I think it went to the Supreme Court, or at least the Kansas Supreme Court. One wonders what judiciary experience is required to be a member of the Kansas Supreme Court, right? Like, not to insult an entire
I don't think there's
state.
anyone listening in Kansas.
No,
They don't have Wi-Fi.
I'm just kidding. But he was essentially prolonging their lives, right, through his legal assistance. And it was meeting with his editor who kept saying, listen, this needs an ending, i.e. these two fuckers need to hang. And at some point he had to reconcile that and agree with the editor, and then he effectively drank himself to death over the course of the next few
I
years.
almost feel like it's expected as a writer that you kind of like a writer, as an artist in general. I feel like it's one of those professions, especially God, I mean, Jesus Christ, there's a lot of expectation on me to tell myself, damaged veteran and artist.
Fuck you, dude. I'm a fucking bipolar former spy.
There you go.
We were screwed.
One of us is not leaving this room. I want this fucking podcast
Who's
to have
got sharp objects?
I want gravitas at this fucking podcast. All right.
No, I think you're totally right, and I think that there's, you see a pattern within artists who, if they have something inside themselves that they are feeling so much of that they have to express it in whatever medium, right, or writing, same deal. You're gonna start riding that line of, well, how comfortable are they going to be if they don't have that pain? How good is the art going to be?
I think my writing's got worse since I got my head together.
Yeah,
definitely. Good news for all you listeners. Coming out middle of May. Can't remember the exact date. Should pay more attention. My book, Brothers in Arms, about Afghanistan and about after Afghanistan. I read some of that book back, and I honestly go, "Fucking hell! Did I write this? This is really good." And I'm obviously saying that right now because I'm trying to sell the fucking book. But it generally, I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is really good. And I'm thinking, like, I could probably only write this because, like, some of it, literally, I was either off my face or drunk or, like, going back and forth between those states or the other.
When you disrupt that self-consciousness,
dude,
of not knowing really that you're out of it, you're like, this is so fucking great, oh my God.
Well, I didn't think that at the time. At the time, it was just a stream of consciousness. Right. But now when I read it back, and I'm like, and that's why I didn't really enjoy the editing process, because I really didn't want to edit much of it, because I'm like, my mind now is like I literally have a different brain that's been replaced with the 1 year ago. I mean, this one's still obsessed with the usual stuff like guns and porn. But, like, the rest of the stuff, I still watch too many ISIS videos of ISIS people blowing themselves
up. What are you, on
I don't think normal people...
Live Leak or what?
No, dude, I like to just go on... I like to go into the search... Basically, I like to search military videos on, like, Instagram.
On
and then all the ones...
websites?
Oh, no, not jihadi ones. But then all the ones... all the ones that have got, like, the, the little... you have to click on it because it's like offensive material.
Right.
I love watching these idiot suicide bombers approaching cordons and then just getting like fucking shot and blowing themselves up, and you just see them like whizzing through the air. And I'm like, I realize that like I'm probably still not fully healed because I like kind of enjoy seeing those videos. Not kind of enjoy, fucking love them. I sit around. Last night I was sitting around with a couple of Marines, and we just passed videos like
you seen this one? I remember that like from college where we didn't have we barely had the internet. And at that point, it consisted of just fucking Japanese and German porn. Shiza videos, and I mean, it was disgusting.
Yeah.
Who could send the most disgusting video?
Yeah, it was the rite of passage.
That was it.
You had to watch that. Like, I remember being in a guard room once, and we like sat around. There was someone had done a chippy run, so we had bags of fish and chips, sit in the guard room. Someone had got this VHS video. This is how long ago we're talking now. We're talking like, this is nearly going on 20 years, right? And there's a guy playing a banjo, and he's sitting on a chair, which has got the middle cut out, squirting diarrhea all over this girl's face. That was everyone in the army did it. I was like, oh, this is what you do when you come into the army. You watch videos of people getting shit on.
Dude, I got busted.
But you can't say anything because no one wants. You're not going to be the young guy who goes, guys, this is disgusting and it's degrading to both people involved and the banjo. And I actually think this is a really nice chair and it's a waste of a chair. And I'm leaving. I'm not watching this. And it's like, if it was like, must keep shoveling chips into my mouth.
Yeah.
Because if I stop, then they're going to... Now I'm like, what an idiot for continuing to watch it. So, guys, you know what? It's fucking rugby on the other channel.
Yeah.
We don't need to be watching shit porn here. Who's
a...
proving things to anyone?
My biggest problem at VMI when I was a rat, I was a good, I had a great GPA, I had a great fitness test score, I knew all my shit, but I really thought the stuff that was coming out of the upperclassmen's mouths. Yep. It's fucking hysterical. God forbid you take yourself out of your body and listen to the shit that they're yelling at and just asking you and making fun of you. Yeah. It's really, really funny. So my biggest problem was,
not smart.
Fucking lock it up. God damn it. And then I have guys who were concerned that is reflecting poorly on their cadre performance come up and literally put their hands next to my face and say, I swear to God, dude, just fucking stop smiling. Yeah. You're getting me in trouble. So I remember my brother sends me an email of two 650-pound women having sex on a bed, and it's a picture. And I'm like, well, I need to share this with some people via email immediately, right? So forward, and then the forward chain just grows, right? And I think it basically hits all of barracks. The problem is that you can easily, once it's intercepted by a tactical officer or a member of the administration, you just go up the chain and say, actually, this originated with Cadet Bunting. Great. Report to, orders for whenever. And if you want to have a real difficult time keeping a fucking straight face, have the officer look and review the actual picture while you're standing at attention about to get a gigantic penalty for distribution of It's those were very, very tight pants. So that was a challenge, but it really did happen, and I wanted to share some real stories.
Funny, it was just like a rite of passage, isn't it? That people make people look at stupid shit, and we have to pretend that we enjoy it and we're going along with it. And I'm thinking, there's probably 1 in 100 people who is an actual perv who's loves it. But most people just going through. It's just like that. It's just that idiot kid thing of doing it's well, if your friends all jumped off a bridge, would you do it? Yes.
Yeah, probably.
Yes, because I'm a young kid. Absolutely, I'm jumping off that bridge. It's like your friends run into. It's like, look, like I've always said, I've said this a bunch of time on this podcast, especially when it comes to military people. Do not expect reasonable behavior from people who will charge into machine gun fire.
No. Which
is about the most unreasonable thing you can fucking do.
Yeah, and so the flip side of that for me was, and the reason that I had issues, from all three deployments. The first two had to do with dealing with human violence, right? I was the intel officer responsible for hostage matters, and so this is when people first started getting their heads sawed off, and I was in Fallujah, and I was, around a lot of death, and that was my world. The flip side of it was I was lucky, and I almost got whacked a couple times, but we're not running into machine gun fire. Instead, we were driving out, and you should have seen the look on the face of the gate guard every time we left our base in a local car.
Yeah.
And they would look at us and just kind of be like,
it's the
holy
spooky,
fucking
it's
shit.
the spooky way. It's actually safer in some ways,
Fuck
though.
yeah, it is.
Because
felt
it's
way better.
You're driving around in a Humvee, which especially back in those days were not up armored at all.
No,
it's just saying, shoot me.
Yeah. I remember in Fallujah, I had to ride around with the Marines, and all they had was a canvas fucking door, and then soldered iron shit on the side of it. I kind of like the fact that I could put my rifle out the window, but they didn't. They barely let me get out of the vehicle. They're like, "Get the fuck back in there!" And I was like, "Why?" And they're like, "You're in civilian clothes. You got a much better rifle than us. You look CIA. Fucking get back in the vehicle." And I'm like, "All right, guys, sorry." But yeah. So that was our kind of flip side of that moment of ooh, right when you leave the gate, and now you're all hiding in plain sight, so to speak.
Yeah, this is an interesting argument. It's if you're going to be in military vehicles, then they need to be really good ones. If they're going to be shitty, I'd rather be off on foot any day.
Sure.
I'd hate being in shitty vehicles because I'm just this is retarded.
Why not be in a Hilux, right?
But if anything goes on right now, we're fucked. I'd rather be on foot. To be honest, I'd just rather be on foot in general. Your route selection is the fucking, you have so much more route fucking selection available to you. And it's there's only so many of them. There's only so many routes they can cover. When there's 3 routes into a fucking city that they know you're going to come into every time, they haven't got to be fucking Rommel to know.
Yeah, but you guys also don't. Part of a large part of my training and what we had to employ tactically were surveillance detection routes, right? Mm-hmm. So I never ever left the base the same way twice.
Hey,
right?
guess what? We did all the time.
Oh, I know. I saw you guys, right? Or like we even see like other like the NCIS guys who are like, we're cool, we're NCIS. What's up, Mark Harmon? Right? And I'd be like, what's up? Yeah, we saw you guys come in. You're like, you did? We didn't see you. We're like, no fucking shit. You know, you guys had sirens and for some reason randomly wanted to draw attention to yourselves. So it's nice you're moving around like that, but you're also, for us, we can't do it on foot because we need to clear the city in order to do whatever we need to do.
Yeah, of course.
Outside
Yeah,
of
for sure. Oh, yeah, for you guys, yeah, we're totally different things. And that's something I always say to people. People are like, what's Afghanistan like? Well, you'd have to ask every single person that went through Afghanistan.
Totally.
What's Iraq like? You have to ask every single person that's been through there because the experiences are going to be... Dude, there's fucking people in the platoon can have a totally different experience. People in a company can have, like, so definitely someone like you and I who had very different jobs are going to have totally different experiences. Now, there's overlap.
No, but there's also there's a need to understand that somebody's role isn't negated, somebody's experience isn't lessened or diminished because of what their responsibilities are. And I catch myself
Unless you're in the RAF regiment.
Is it?
So
is that yours?
No, that's not mine. No, the RAF regiment is they're a special group of people who are now being triggered and are throwing tantrums. They're pretend infantry. They're in the RAF, pretend infantry. The guard airfield. God bless them, guys.
Wait
Keep
a second.
looking after those nappies.
Yeah, they made fun of the wasn't the goofy guy in The Office? Wasn't that his?
No, that's the TA from which I come from.
Oh, really?
So I'm just hating on them because I was hating on too. It's like this whole hazing cycle. It's like somebody gives you shit, so you pass it down.
Well, I mean, you could say that in Iraq in 2004. Before they kind of built up the bases to have the KFCs, right? It was still the Wild West. And so you could be an analyst and have to deal with death. I mean, I was.
Yeah, I mean, it depends where you were. Like, if you were at Shiloh base or something like that in the British sector, then those places were pretty... I remember when I got to Iraq in 2006, someone was fixing my car because some little shitbag had thrown a brick through the windscreen. Which is my fault.
Celebrating democracy, yeah.
Yeah, it was my fault because I didn't pull it. Well, you know what? Looking back, I was really lucky because we drove past, he threw it, and I just said flippantly, "Someone shoot that fucker." And I'm really glad that nobody listened to me. Oh,
really?
Yeah, I'm really glad no one listened to me. I didn't mean it. I was just like, "Oh, someone shoot that fucker."
So that happened to my dad. My dad was leading a company of 82nd Airborne in Detroit during the riots.
Oh shit!
And they're driving down. Like some main street, and my dad is. I think he's in his command vehicle. He's a captain, and my dad's a big dude. He's like 6'4". He's out of central casting, and looks over, and some guy on stoop looks at him and just gives him the middle finger, and immediately, right, and one of his bodyguards like just aims his M16 and says, "You want me to kill him, sir?"
Jesus Christ!
And he has to say, he actually remembers his name. He's like, "No, Private Chawalski. It's okay. Don't shoot him."
Yeah, don't shoot him. That's not a lethal middle finger. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, dude.
Yeah.
Like, some people need to I feel like sometimes rules of engagement are a bit restrictive, but I'm definitely thinking that you should not be shooting people for flipping you the bird.
No.
That's
part of freedom.
Well, yeah, especially in fucking Detroit. Have you seen that movie, by the way? Have you seen the movie Detroit that they made set during those riots?
No,
I need to see it too.
No, I need. Yeah, it got really good reviews, right?
Stick it on my list right here. Yeah, but I think it does look like it's going to be a really good movie. But also, if you make a racially charged movie, who's going to give it bad reviews? Because you're then going to come out and get
that's the 1-star and 5-star.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you make a movie about race and you give it a bad review, if someone gives it a bad review, then you're going to be
racist.
Yes, exactly. Dude, let's be honest, that's the way it is, and it does look really fucking good. And the reason I haven't got around to watching it is because it's been one of those ones where I'm like, I actually want to dedicate time to this when I'm not getting pulled onto the phone and
well,
other things.
Look, I mean, that's the reality, and I say this as an independent film producer. That remote, man, you get about a half an hour in, and you're a writer, you appreciate art the same way. You've watched a lot of films.
I'm just in this for the money, dude. Fuck that.
And isn't your first draft with crayon, right? Your infantry.
No, I just eat those bad boys. Those are the snacks.
They are delicious. I love burnt sienna. So, but you get kind of past that first act, and it's way different than being. You're not gonna. It takes a lot for me to get. Actually, it doesn't because I'm a dick. I'll get up and walk out of a movie, really. Like within, in about half an hour. I'll be like, nah, I got it. No. But it's even harder because if you're lying on your sofa and you've got your remote control, you just stop. If you're
frustrated. I mean, I thought the whole idea was that usually by the end of the first act, you're having sex. Anyway, I thought that was what this... I didn't even know that the movie's on Netflix.
Are we talking about life?
No, Netflix. Okay, wouldn't it be funny if there was actually no endings? Like, if someone just comes on, they're like, well, you guys are still watching?
What are you guys
watching? What the fuck? Dude, get your dick out. Come on.
You're still here? No, what movie was that?
To be fair, dude, there's a lot of garbage movies on Netflix. Like, a lot of their original things that they come out recently, they've had so much hype.
Right.
And it's a really cool model because it's like, they get this hype.
It's a ton of content.
Loads of people start talking about it. So loads of more people start watching it because you don't want to be missing out on the movie that your friends watch. But I've watched quite a few. Like, the Netflix original TV shows, the actual shows, are brilliant. But a lot of their original movies fucking stink, dude. They're just... I feel like, just because you've got money doesn't mean you should just throw it at any fucking script. Unless it's mine. In which case, please, throw the money away.
Get the rights.
I guarantee everyone will be turning off by the end of the first act and having sex. And that'll make everyone happier. And if everyone's happy and having sex, we'll live in a better world. And that's my aim, is to make shitty second acts that will force people to copulate.
I actually thought you were talking about having sex in the movie, not on the sofa. Too.
Yeah. I mean, but dude,
that's how lonely
if we chuck a bunch of fucking dirty shit in Act 1, then everyone's gonna be drenched by the beginning of Act 2. By the time we get to the all is lost moment, there's gonna be fucking loads flying everywhere. Yeah, the movie thing's interesting, dude. Like, the thing I love about writing books, man, is that, like, I don't have to I do work with editors and stuff like that, and that's great. And I'm really lucky that I have great editors. All the different publishers I work with are all awesome. But the reason I got into it, because I was just like, well, you know what? I can do it on my own if I need to, right? So people out there listening, anyone who's thinking about getting into art, making movies, doing books, I'll say this. If you want to 100% make sure that your product reaches an end user, go for fucking books, right? Because the self-publishing, because the ability to self-publish now means that even if your book is a massive stinking pile of shit, you can still make people buy it because you can self-publish the fucker. Whereas movies, there's so many fucking moving parts and different people you need to get involved and things. You know, it's just, I think it's cool for who's especially someone who's looking at it as a project rather than a career. That's what I like about books. Is that I'm like, what I'm working on right now, if I put the work into this, it will see the fucking light of day. And hopefully I'll make someone happy.
Yeah.
Whereas you can work for years on a movie, and through no fault of your own, just through circumstance and different moving parts and shit like that, it might never happen.
95% of independent films don't make the money back.
Yeah. And even though I'm talking about money, you could write, like, say, a fucking killer script that a studio buys and sticks on a shelf and never sees.
Oh, right, yeah, they'll just park it.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly, just get parked. And I'm like, so what are you trying to, like, what are you trying to achieve through your art? Personally, I'd like to fucking get a story out there because I always think there's no such thing as a unique experience. And if there's one person, I mean, fuck me, I'm going to be living in a box if there is only one person. But, you know, if there's one person that really enjoys it and it touches them in a special way, Michael Jackson kind of way, then that's great. And with a movie, you know, the rewards are so high if it comes off, but it's just like, it's such more, I feel like it's more of a business, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, no, it is, man. I mean, it involves investors on the independent film level. It's, you know, we had to structure our financing in such a way. We made the movie for $1.4 million, and it looks like it's, you know, a much, much bigger budget. But that was through calling in every fucking favor we had, taking advantage of every tax credit that we had per state, and doing as much, you know, with as little as possible. And then, you know, being lucky that we had these incredible young actors who have now busted out. And Thomas Mann, who's the lead, his next movie was Kong, Skull Island. Nice. And we're like, nice. So the budget for your porta potties was larger than the entire film.
Dude, what I do like about the either film stuff or working with publishers, though, is that you do get to then again be a part of a team again,
right?
And that is cool.
Yeah, no, that was that was the thing that I noticed after. I had never been a producer before. I never worked on a fucking movie before, so I did that like kind of just shut up thing, you know, for a few days, and then I kind of started to speak a little bit more. I kept getting in trouble. The line producer kept coming over and being like, stop with the boxes. And I'm like, what? They're all lifting boxes. I'm helping them. They're like, you're the producer. You're the man.
Yeah, there's definitely a hierarchy on sets that I didn't really like. I went into my first
I told him to fuck off. I said, then if I'm the man, I can help
you can
because
do
I'm
what
not
you
going to
want.
stand.
Yeah. Dude, I noticed that I went to a shoot and I saw like when it came to cafeteria time, with the mobile cafeteria, it was director eats first and stuff, and then the extras at last.
It's like the opposite.
Exactly, that's the opposite of the military. And I felt really uncomfortable doing it, and I wouldn't do it because I just felt like this is just it's gone against everything that's been ingrained into me that, like, it's the extras should eat first. That's how it should be.
I don't disagree with you, but I was always kind of unassuming, and I'd be in jeans or I don't know if you have a habit of wearing kind of tactical-ish pants or you're like your leftover shit.
No, dude. I'm wearing a pair of trousers right now which have no crotch left in because I have rugby thighs that have worn the way through it. My tactical days are long behind. But for those not listening, those not watching, I'm wearing a pair of trousers with a hole in the crotch, as I have done on most.
For breathing.
I have done them. Yeah, well, dude, like just by chance because of my thighs. Most episodes, I realize when I look back at the video, I'm like, damn it, those trousers didn't have a fucking crotch either. Maybe I'm just into that shit. And yeah, band t-shirts and caps, so I don't have to bother doing my hair. People keep asking me why are you wearing a cap all the time? You like using your hair? I know, dude, my hair is like out of control at the moment. I'm just trying to save money and not have haircuts because I'm poor.
But it was something that I brought up with a couple of the crew, right? If you looked at the crew on our film, you and I, right? We'd look at them and we would think, wow, this is like a typical hipster, right. American spirit smoking, whatever. And these guys and women worked harder than anybody outside of the military I've ever seen every day on set. And so it was after like the third day that I now I'm watching all these different groups and how they're working together and how we're stuck together. And I was like, God, and then I bummed an American Spirit. I wanted to see what they tasted like, right? And
so is that a cigarette?
Well, yeah, it's a cigarette. It's like a...
I changed my language to cigarette rather than fag for you there, because I know when you think...
You get confused.
I know Americans get antsy about that shit.
It's super triggered for you.
Super triggered.
Yeah, so... Because you just put it in your mouth.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So, British listeners who haven't been to the States or dealt with the U.S. military, do not offer an American a fag, because they have a different connotation for it. Google it. I'm not here to teach you everything.
And bundle of sticks, right?
Yes, exactly. Bundle of sticks.
See, my parents actually met in England, so
yeah,
that's why I code switch and try to like.
Yeah, I know you should code switch. And that's just your little spy stuff going
on. So I told these guys, I was like, you guys know this is just like a deployment. I don't, and they looked at me kind of like I was crazy, and I was like, no, we all have to work together. Everybody has their own individual job. We're stuck for a specific amount of time. We're all working for like a common mission. And we were in Staten Island. We still could get shot. Right? That's where Wu-Tang's from. So.
Yeah, really? Staten Island.
Yeah, dude.
The only person I know from Staten Island was on Jersey Shore. I'm trying to remember which one it was. Did you ever watch Jersey Shore?
Yeah, I don't know why you wanted to re-trigger me for. I need to watch
the latest series of that. Floribama Shore is pretty cool too. I started watching that, but haven't managed to catch the end of it.
See, I know,
dude. I can just see. I'm not getting any work doing for the next couple of weeks.
Do you actually order that?
No, I just used to have it like. I just used to like back in the day. I used to be able to download off BitLoad. Mm-hmm. Just download the whole series.
BitTorrent.
BitLoad was like the one that I used to download it. If I was to download things, which obviously I didn't. Disclaim.
Yeah. So my parents are, and well, actually my wider family is mad at me because I was going to go down and visit them in Virginia this weekend, and then I remembered I've got tickets to Wu-Tang.
Oh, sweet.
Right, so they're playing like
wearing
two shows.
Wu-Tang t-shirt right now.
Yeah, I know. That's right. So
you're not going to wear that until the weekend, are you? Do you get wear it on what, Wednesday?
No, I've got different Wu-Tang shirts for every day of the week. Okay, I've got Wu-Tang cufflinks, socks, underwear, sweatshirts.
Wu-Tang cufflinks for those occasions where you're hanging out.
It's a little fuck you to a formal occasion, which I kind of like.
Yeah.
And then you got to flash them to. I've got a buddy who's daring me to wear wear a tuxedo.
You go to some pretty fancy things, though, right? I don't go to anything. I don't go to anything that requires cufflinks. Cuffs, maybe, but not cufflinks.
Now, in New York, it's a uniform. You got to blend in. It's camouflage.
Yeah.
Right.
I know. I feel like you get away with, like, New York's one of those cities that don't seem to be, like, a lot of eye contact and shit going on. I feel like you could walk around here with your dick out and nobody knows.
No, but I mean, if you're depending on the event or environment.
Oh, right? The event for sure, dude.
I'm trying to meet. But if I'm trying to like meet people to raise money for, MVP, I'm gonna I'll put my tuxedo on.
And that's why I leave stuff like that to you. And like I leave stuff to you that I'm so fucking uncomfortable in those things, dude. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I've got my suit on, and then I go in those places, and then the suit is absolutely soaked through with sweat, and I just start getting more uncomfortable, and I'm like, right. Well, I suppose I'll have a drink to calm down. 20 minutes later, I'm absolutely shit-faced. I'm like, right, now I'm shit-faced. I'm just going to get out of here. Like, I don't like going to those fucking things, man.
Well, my trick when I was operational, if I needed to meet people, was to I just had a very strong test of my bladder, was to just keep pounding club soda and have to get back in the line, because that's when somebody's separated from the little fucking group, is when they go and get people drinks. And that's where you can start up a conversation.
Yeah.
Pretty easy.
Like, accidentally grab the butt.
Yeah. Oh, sorry about that.
Sorry about that.
And your gorgeous eyes.
Yeah, I don't like it. I mean, I need to get better at going to those things, honestly. But I just don't feel comfortable in them, dude. Like, I like shitty dive bars. Like, we're talking the last episode about my Big Helen's in San Clemente dive bar with a bunch of old grunts in there and a dartboard and fucking shit ball club. I mean, like, look, like you said, the fact is, if you want to raise money for charity, you need to go to the events where there's people with fucking money. Yeah, like one of my friends, he raised $1 million sterling for a charity, and 750 grand of it, I think he said, was done at like one night with these people who have ridiculously deep pockets. I mean, going around shaking the buckets and stuff.
What's
it's
that
fucking
guy,
hats off to people. But
Willie Sutton, they said, "Why do you rob banks?" And he said, "That's where the money is."
Yeah.
So, Go hang around the rich people.
That's a pretty fucking stupid question. Why'd you rob banks? Why else would you rob a fucking bank? I hope that reporter was not long in that job. But seriously, dude, like, it's like, if you want to raise money for charities, those are the places you have to go with the deep pockets. You have to move in those things. I'm hoping one day the people with the deepest pockets will wear Slayer t-shirts and hang out in dive bars, but probably not going to happen.
Well, I mean, that can happen. I think in Northern California and shit. You never know.
Yeah, it could do. I suppose. Yeah, for sure.
My brother lives in Corte Madera and in like Marin County, right next to San Francisco, and he's like, yeah, you never know, man. The guy next to you at the coffee shop in a t-shirt, might be kind of driving a Porsche and worth $2 billion.
Yeah,
no fucking clue.
Damn. So, right. Well, on that note, nice. I'm going to go masturbate and think about money. Dude, you got any parting comments you'd like to leave our two listeners with?
Yeah, I would. There's a couple, just a couple brief things. If this gets listened to by anybody who comes from the intelligence community, who has served in Iraq or Afghanistan, reach out to the people that you served with. Create your own network. We have a specific language. We have a specific skill set. We have a specific experience that we only understand. So within the larger veteran community, get involved, give back, but don't isolate and don't keep the stuff to yourself, because it can be specifically corrosive. And I've had to learn that through periods of difficulty in my life. With regard to mental health, there's no stigma about it, or there shouldn't be. If there was,
if there is, fuck you.
If there is, it's just in your head. Get it? But in a real way, if you are having problems, seek help. Don't try to medicate yourself, because that will usually make it worse, and that's like from a neurological and chemical perspective. I had to learn that the hard way as well. People might push you to specific programs to get better. There's nothing wrong with that, but seek professional medical help. See a doctor. Express what you're going through and what you're feeling. And if you don't like the doctor, fucking fire them. They trick you into staying. They trick you for like a fucking evaluation fee, and like they'll double it, and then you feel like you have to go back, and that you're somehow obligated because they've got a couple letters at the end of their name that indicate that they went to medical school. You know what? Half of all doctors who graduated from medical school graduated in the bottom fucking half of medical school. So find a doctor that you gel with, that you actually can work with, who is tactical, who can help you get through what it is you need to get through in life. But stay active Don't feel bad about it. Don't feel like you need to hide from it. There's nothing wrong with it. People understand when other people have cancer, when they break their legs. If there's something that's different about your brain, that's okay. But don't feel like you need to hide from it. In a lot of cases, you can use it to your advantage, and it means that you're better than other people or smarter than other people. So those two messages would be what I would leave people with.
Yeah, I'll echo everything you've said there. And I'll also say that what I've heard about mental health is the best way to overcome it is to buy a shitload of books, specifically books written by Geraint Jones. Disclaimer, that's not actually medical advice. However, if you want to support the podcast and you want to read some books about fucking crazy mental people and veterans and all that stuff, then I got a bunch of fucking books you can buy. I'm not going to go through them all now. The one I really appreciate your support with is Brothers in Arms. Comes out in May. Written by me, Geraint Jones. Bunch of shooting in there. Bunch of fucking war stuff in there. And then like a bunch of coming home stuff, which is really the more interesting stuff. Like the fucking stuff and the drug stuff and the drinking stuff and the Hollywood stuff and the Vegas stuff. And that's all you need to know about it, really. Like you said, read it, QE PTSD. No. I feel like, hey, Dr. Nick, buy my book. You won't have a PTSD. Sound like I'm sound fucking pastor and shit now. But no, guys, thank you for supporting the podcast. Also, I have a webcam show.
Yeah,
It's called Big Chested Grunts. Get on there. We have hairy grunts, shaved grunts, all kind of grunts for you. Charlie, what's your social medias and stuff? Do you want people to find you on there or not? Or are you going to go sneaky beaky?
No, it's fine. What am I? I'm Charlie Bunting 13 on Instagram, and that is the best way to check me out. I work with an organization, Coalition Films. We made the Preppie Connection. We look to be making our next film this year called Upstate. So I appreciate your support on that. And thank you very much for having me on and listening.
Right, so we mentioned them earlier. Check out our friends, Emerging Vets and Players. Check them out on Instagram. Shout out those guys. You want to find me on my personal Instagrams, at GRJBooks. We are at Veteran State of Mind here. Dude, thanks so much for coming on. We'll have to do this again. I have managed to, just to let everyone know, because you guys need to know this stuff, I've had horrendous diarrhea all day. And I didn't think we were going to be able to go through this podcast without taking a break. And we've done it, which is testament to the strength of your conversation. So thank you very much, Charlie. Cheers for Miles. Cheers for Gotham Podcast. Anyway, we did this out here in New York. I got to get to Brooklyn. I got to get a flight back to the UK. Don't really want to leave New York, but such is life. We'll be back. We being me and my split personalities. So cheers. Thanks very much, guys. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
Alrighty.